Hey everyone, let's go ahead and get started with text to MySQL queries. Here I'll be showing you how you can convert your text queries to call your MySQL functions, or you can say that MySQL table. I'll be showing you here with the MySQL workbench. So here I have my table, which is employees table, and inside this employees table I have all these data. And here I'll be asking a question that how many employees are there, or I'll be filtering these data. So basically we will be applying here LLM to identify that how to make these MySQL queries. And here is the basic code which we have been using previously. So you need to import these basic code. So here we import our .env file, that's the .environment file, and then here we import our necessary libraries and packages to call our chat Ollama. We have hosted our llama on chat Ollama. All right. Thereafter, to work with MySQL, you have to make sure that you have installed here PyMySQL on your computer. Other than that, obviously you have to have their MySQL data server there. All right, so I have here a server or some kind of the connection you have to have there with your MySQL. So here with MySQL, I have here employees table. So I'll be connecting with this particular MySQL server, and then I'll be accessing this particular table here. For example, let's say if I say here select from employees, it is going to select all those employees from this particular, the data. All right, now what I do here, I come back and thereafter I'm going to install this. So in fact, I have already installed. You have to make sure that you install PyMySQL in your computer. Other than that, let me just show you the process, how I'm going to call these things here. So see how this is going to happen. First of all, I'll be having my query, and then through this query, it will be going to the LLM, and then LLM will call there a tool. So basically you can say that it's a tool. Basically, it is going to call here MySQL tool, and thereafter whatever the message comes from the MySQL, that will again go to the LLM so that it can correct the query. Once the query correction happens, thereafter we can say that here tool execution. All right, so something like this we can say. Thereafter you can again put their LLM to execute, to produce the final result if you want. Otherwise it is perfectly fine without any issue. All right. Thereafter, if you put all these together, then this whole thing, what you see, this whole thing now becomes an agent. All right. So you see there, this becomes now agents. Otherwise, what you see here, this is a chain here. So this will be a LangChain. So first, I'll be showing you how you can implement this using LangChain chain. Thereafter, I'll be showing you how you can implement this whole thing using agent. This time, I'll be using here LangGraph agent. Previously, I have shown you how you can use agent executors from the LangChain, but this time I'll be using here LangGraph agent. But before that, we have to cover these chains. Let's come back to our code here. I assume that you have installed this. Thereafter, we need to import here couple of libraries for our SQL database. So what you can do here, from LangChain community dot utilities import database, not like this, utilities import SQL database. Once you get SQL database, thereafter you need to get the connection here. So I need to get the database connection. You can say that SQL database, and if you put your cursor here, you will see that it needs here engine, schema, and so many other stuff here. So I can say that here SQL database dot from URI, I'm going to get my MySQL password and the address directly here, but it but you should not put your address, your password, etc. for MySQL here. For time being, I'm just going to put everything here so that we can quickly move ahead. So here I have this one is PyMySQL. This one is PyMySQL, and then there is the root is my password. This is username. Here is the password, and I have hosted MySQL on local. So I provide here a local host, and thereafter there is a employees. So I go here inside the employees table. So basically I will be exploring these employees, the database actually, not the table. So inside this employees database, we will be exploring all our table like employee table, the department table and so on. All right. Thereafter, you just simply need to run this. Once you run this, then see what happened here. Now you have got your DB here. Thereafter, you can say here db.dialect. It says that, okay, this is my SQL. And then you can also say here db.get usable table names. With this, you can see all the table names which it is going to get from this particular database. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and try to run a query here quickly. So you can just simply write here db.run, and then you can provide here any query, something like this. Select star from employees, limit 5. Then here it is going to give you those 5 employee data. So this is a straightforward way, and this shows that how you can query your MySQL database. Now the question is how you can do using LLM. Basically, let's say if I ask that show me the top 5 employees or how many employees are there, then your LLM should be able to identify that what is going to be this particular query. I hope that this is now pretty much clear to you. Now I have set here a background that what we are going to cover in this section. All right, now let's go ahead and see how you can create a SQL chain. So in LangChain, they already have SQL query chain. You can simply import this from LangChain dot chains import create SQL query chain. So from here you can import your SQL chain. Thereafter you can write here chain equal to create SQL query chain, and thereafter you can pass your LLM, and then you need to also pass your DB here. If you put your cursor here, you can see the detail. Seems like the detail is not coming here. But anyway, so first of all, you need to pass here LLM, which we had created previously, and your DB. All right, now you have got your chain here. So with this, what happened here? The couple of things happen here. First, it creates here a runnable chain where it combines your DB as a tool, and also it combines here LLM inside that. Along with that, also it combines their prompt. So if you want to know that what prompts are there, you can just simply write here chain dot get prompts. Thereafter you can get here all the prompts. So you have a prompt template, and then you have all of these things here, right? So here is the template, like you are SQL expert, etc. So you can do here like the pretty print, something like this, get prompts and pretty print. With this you can see the details here. So this chain have this particular prompt. You are MySQL expert. Given an input question, first create syntactically correct MySQL query to run, and then so on, and there are so many other stuff. All right, and thereafter it says that okay, do this, and then there is the table information. Basically here, the table schema will go from the database, how many tables are there, and so on. And then here it goes like the question what user has asked here, and based on that chain can answer you the question. All right, now I hope that this is pretty much clear to you. Now let's go ahead and print this chain and then see what we get here. So once you print this chain, you will see here a lot of things. First, you see there is runnable assignment where you take input and the table information goes through the runnable lambda. Then you have again here runnable lambda, and here it takes the questions and table names to use whatever the tables are there. All right, and then here is the prompt template where it expects your input and the table info, and thereafter you have runnable binding. So this is going to bind the tool, all right, with the chat Ollama, and thereafter it is going to produce the final output here. All right, so all of these things are going to happen inside this chain, and this chain we have got using create SQL query chain, and this comes automatically from the LangChain. All right, now I hope that this is pretty much clear. Let's go ahead and invoke this chain. So here I have a question. Let's say my question is here like how many employees are there. Then I say that here is my response is going to be the chain dot invoke like this, and then there is question. In fact, this need to be here like this. This need to be like this question, and then your question is here. All right, let's go ahead and run this. And let's print this response here itself. In fact, I can just print it here and then see what happened here. It says that there are 3 employees in the database. Let's print this again and then see. There are 3 employees, there are 3 employees. Now you see there, this is completely wrong. And then see why this thing is happening here. What is the problem here? All right. So the problem is this is not able to correctly identify that how many tables are there, and also it is not able to correctly call your tools there, right? So it's not able to produce you the final result here. All right, it should be producing you, you know, here the SQL query, but it is not able to produce you final SQL query, and that happens. But don't worry about that. Later on, when we will be calling here the another LLM, at that time we will get that corrected. Let's go ahead and come back to the Langsmith and then see what is happening behind the scene. So here at Langsmith, you come in runnable sequence, you see here a lot of calls. First it goes here, all right, and then it gets here a lot of, the schema and other things. For example, I asked about just this one. Thereafter, it provided here all the table information, and here first 3 rows from all those tables. And seems like because of that, your LLM is able to identify that, okay, there are 3 employees, and that is the problem. Later on, I'll show you how you can get the correct answer, but as of now, don't worry about that. All right, and then there is the LLM call here, and based on these content what we have here, you see all these content, your LLM is able to say that, okay, there is 3 employees. All right, there are 3 employees. So basically what is happening here, first one problem is here we are using LLAMA 3.2 3 billion model. So this model is not that powerful like ChatGPT model or OpenAI, the latest model like GPT-4 models. The other thing is here that this overall prompt has become quite large, and our model is having a difficulty to understand here whole thing. Otherwise, the initial idea was here that it needed to produce their a query, right? MySQL query. But now it is producing their final result. It should not produce the final result as of now. It should have been producing here a final query, and then that query should have gone to the MySQL tool, and then that should have gone to the LLM for final, the query corrections and so on. So that is the problem here that we can see. All right, let's go ahead and see how you can extract the correct query using LLM. So what I do, I come here, thereafter I write here from scripts.llm import ask LLM. Let me show you how I'm doing and why I'm doing. So here is a script. This is same script which we have used previously, like during, not here, not there. Yeah. Oh my God, where is this? Somewhere we had used, I'm just trying to find out here. Okay, inside the document loader, we had used this script. All right. So this same script I copied from here to here inside my text to MySQL queries. And then I'm just simply calling this from script.llm import ask LLM. I'm not calling directly, I'm not importing directly this LLM because I already have their LLM, all right, before this. So I don't want to overwrite that. I just want to I just want to call this ask LLM. All right, perfect. So we have got our ask LLM. Thereafter, we can create here a prompt, kind of, the custom prompt, all right, which will correct our queries here. All right. Cool. Let's go ahead and first of all create here a chain. So I say here that ask LLM is imported. Other than that, I also need to first import here a chain. So from LangChain core dot runables import chain. All right. Once this part is done, thereafter you can simply create here, a runnable. So using chain. So chain equal to get underscore correct underscore SQL query. It's going to be something like this, and that's all. And here you have your input. So your input, not like this, here it need to be the def. All right, now it becomes here a Python function, and now you have like this. Okay, so the def correct SQL query. Now in this you have to first of all get your context, and also you need to get your question. So here I write here a context. Context is going to be the input context. So this input, what you see there, this is actually a dictionary. And then here the question also comes. So this question is like this. And thereafter we need to provide here instruction. So that instruction I already have here. So let me just provide that here. So it becomes like this. Use above context, basically this particular context, to fetch the correct SQL query for following question. And here I format the question. So question goes here. Do not enclose query in SQL or do not write preamble or explanation. You must return only single SQL query. All right, perfect. Once you do all of these things, thereafter what you do here, then you write here response equal to ask LLM, and then inside ask LLM you have their context. So you say, okay, context is going to be your context, not this one. And then you have your question there, in fact, and the question is going to be your question actually. All right, and it's, wait a second, here it is instruction. So this is going to be the question here. So it becomes like this. Thereafter you return here a response. All right, now let me show you what is the problem. I mean, what was the problem here? First, there was a problem like it was returning answer something like this. And sometimes what happens, it returns the answer. I mean, it doesn't just return the SQL query, but it returns there, a malformed SQL query. In that case, this particular chain is going to be super helpful. But as of now, we can see that it will work, right? So if you don't get correct answer from here, I'm sure you can get those answer from here. All right. And also remember that this problem happens with only smaller model. Once you have large model, then this type of problem doesn't happen, because this LLAMA 3.2 and 3 billion model running on local system is not that powerful. That is why all these problems are happening here. Now you can simply write here get SQL query. Since we have converted this as runnable, LangChain runnable, you can invoke this like this, and here you can pass your context. So the context we need to pass here from our previous query, that was the response, and also we need to pass here our question. So we already had our question previously. All right, so here was the question and this response is our current context, and overall this context is wrong as of now, but sometimes it gives you malformed SQL query, and when it gives you malformed SQL query, at that time it will be super helpful. All right, so you have this, seems like some error is coming. It says that string indices must be integer or something like that. Seems like something is wrong here. I'm just trying to figure out what went wrong here. Okay, wait a second. Where this went wrong? Ask LLM some format, and here it seems like inside this question it went wrong. Okay, all right. Okay, so that is wrong here actually. So this should be input. So this input will be having here a context and the question. That's all, and let's run this. Now you can see here that where it says that select count from employees, where ID in, select ID from employees, limit 3. So seems like again this is wrong. All right, and this is wrong because what we had output here. So it says that we have just 3 employees. That is why this overall problem is coming here. All right, if this was not the case, then we might not have got the problem. All right, let's get this chain. Seems like this chain is creating a problem. Okay, so another problem is here that we have imported here our chain, and because of that this chain is creating here a problem. All right, so what you can do here, you can say that here, let's say SQL chain. Now I convert this chain to SQL chain so that I can run it later on. Here you have your SQL chain, and here you come, you write your SQL chain. If you run it multiple time, you might get something here, but every time it is giving you, something like this. So let me just say that how many employees are there? You must return only my SQL. You see here the prompt tuning is also very important thing here. Now it should return here, right? Here you see. Okay, now you have got your response. Thereafter, see what happened here. Let's run this. Cool, right? Now you have got your correct MySQL, a correct MySQL prompt. And now this MySQL prompt can go to your DB and then you can say that run. Basically, if you put your response like this, and thereafter if you say your db dot run and dot response, then you will get this particular answer. Now you see that. So by doing our prompt fine tuning and designing our system correctly through this chain, we are able to get here correct answer. I hope that this is pretty much clear to you now. All right, now let's go ahead and combine all of these things as a single chain. Do you remember? We are just combining all these together as a single chain. We are not combining these as an agent. As of now, we are just combining these as a single chain. Let's do that. So first of all, you need to import Query SQL database tool from the LangChain community tool SQL database. So you write here from LangChain core, not the core, in fact you need to get it from the community, LangChain community dot tools dot SQL database dot tool import SQL database tool, in fact query SQL database. All right, so we have got our query SQL database tool. Thereafter let's get our execute query here. So I write here execute query equal to the query SQL database tool, and inside that I pass here db equal to our db. Thereafter I write here write underscore query is going to be equal to create SQL query chain, and then I pass here LLM and db. Then what I write here, I say here chain equal to, now I need to pass here a multiple chains. So I mean multiple runnables. This is something which you need to understand here properly, how this whole thing is going to work here. So if you remember that we have our get correct SQL query runnable, which we created earlier, get correct SQL query. This is our runnable. In this runnable, we had passed their dictionary input. It expect here context and the question. So for that, we have to prepare here a dictionary, and it need to have here a context, and this context was coming from the previous call where we had our SQL chain. All right, so it comes from there, or you can say that this comes from the right query which we have just created here, right? Create SQL query chain. This is the same, right? The previous one, right? So here we have our right query. So response comes from this right query, or you can say that this is SQL query in fact. Okay, not the right query. In fact, that is not the correct name anyway. So you have your SQL query. Thereafter, you have your question here. And this question is going to be passed as the runnable pass through. So you write here runnable pass through. All right. So once you have that, then this is going to be inside your get correct SQL query. And output of that is going to be inside the execute query. Basically, this is going to execute the query, this response, right? That response will get executed. That's all. Once you have your chain, let's make this SQL chain. In fact, we already have here SQL chain. I'm going to say that here final chain, let's say. All right, so I have my final chain. Let's go ahead and call this final chain with the question. I have here how many employees are there? You must return only MySQL query. Then I have here my response, something like this. And then I'm just gonna print my response. Let's see what happened here. It should return you correct result. All right, now you see there is the result. And we have called here only once here. This is what I was talking in a previous lesson where I told you that we need to combine everything together. Now we have combined everything together and it is returning here. Now internally you will notice here, if you come here at Langsmith, in the Langsmith you will notice it will call your Llama chat Ollama multiple time basically, so at least 2 times. So here you will notice it has called here once. When it calls here, you will notice all of these things was there, and thereafter it produced here some result. This was the query, and then this whole thing got corrected in the next call, and that was here. In the next call, that thing will go as an input. You will notice here. Let me just show you. All those things are there, and okay, seems like that is not there, but anyway, so here it produces the final output. So that is how these overall things are happening here. Okay, then it returns you this final output because it executes there that final final result. It's not visible to you there because this is here, at down, but let me just copy that and paste you here. So this is what I was seeing there. All right, so this is correct query, and this query got executed by SQL query executor here by this execute query function, and then it produces this final result, and this final result matches with our previous data as well. All right, now I hope that this is pretty much clear to you that how you can get SQL query using chains, and also how you can execute SQL tool using chains without any kind of the agent involvement. But these kind of things have a problem. For example, if your query is malformed or it is not getting output properly, then in that case, your overall output will be wrong or it will just fail, right? It will throw the error. So to handle all of these things, you can use their agent. All right, now let's go ahead and create agent here using LangGraph. So you need to install your LangGraph first of all. I have already installed this LangGraph. So I assume that you have also installed this LangGraph. Once this part is done, thereafter you need to import here your SQL database toolkit. In fact, that part we have already, no, that we have not imported. So SQL database toolkit you need to import from the LangChain. So you write here from, not the LangGraph, in fact, from LangChain community dot agent toolkits import SQL database toolkit, right? You have here SQL database toolkit. All right, once you get this, thereafter you can simply write here toolkit is going to be here SQL database toolkit, and inside this you will pass your DB and also your LLM. You get toolkit. Thereafter what you do here, you get your tools. Basically, you say here tools are equal to toolkit dot get tools. All right, let's go ahead and then see what happened here. This is something which is going to blow your mind. Well, you see, all these tools which we used to create manually previously, all these tools are there already. All right, these tools are, you know, there on the LangChain. So you just need to pull these tools. By calling these, we pulled out these tools. We have like a query SQL database tool, info SQL database tool, list SQL database tool, and query SQL checker tool. Why all of these things are necessary? Because what happened here, once you have your agent, then what your agent does there, your agent call first one tool if it is needed, let's say about the SQL information, database information. It can call another tool for the schema. It can call another tool to get the, to execute the SQL query, and it can call another tool and so on, right? It depends there how many tools are there for your agent. So your agent can decide that which tool it need to call based on the query. All right. Other than that, based on the internal scratchpad. All right, now I hope that this part is clear to you that why all these tools are necessary. Let's go ahead and create our prompt here. So that prompt I have already written. So I'm just going to copy and paste here. So I have here a system message, and this is going to be my prompt here. So you have here Your agent designed to interact with SQL database, given input questions, and so many other stuff. All right, all of these things are here. With this, it is going to create here a system message. Now, once you have your system message, thereafter you can simply create your here agent. So I have already written the code for that. Let me just copy and paste here. Okay, so here it is. You have human message and thereafter the create react agent. But this thing is coming from the LangGraph. So this is something which is new. Otherwise, the rest of things are same. So if you remember in our LangChain, we had called our agent as the agent and agent executor. If you notice here in the agent section, let me just show you for your clarity. So your mind will be, pretty much clear with this. We had called here from the agents create tool calling agent and agent executor. So this is two things we call there. And here in the line graph, we are calling langgraph.prebuild import create react agent. Then inside this create react agent, we pass our model and the tools. That is what we are passing there. And thereafter, it also asks about the state modifier. So we are using here a system message to decide that how our agent is going to work. All right, and debugging is false. If you make debugging is true, then it will also show you what is happening while it is calling your tool. Let's make it true and then see what happened here. Now you have got your agent executor. Now this is pretty much simple. What you can do, you can just simply call this. So I have here a question. Let's say the first question I'm going to ask, how many employees are there? Agent executor is going to invoke, and I put this question inside the human message. All right, and then it is going to invoke our agent executor. Let's go ahead and run. Now you see that it has called your agent executor, and agent executor is executing this, and all of these things you can see here. And here in the tool message, once it call a tool and tool returns this particular things, right? And here it called their SQL DB query checker tool. All right, so you see that how good it is. And then it says that okay, these employees are in the database, there are these many employees in the database, and this is the same result which we have been getting earlier. And here all of these things are actually, you know debug information. If you don't want, obviously you can remove that. If you want to get the stream of your agent, that stream you can also get. So you can get here for s in agent executor dot stream, something like this. You can run again. You can see all the stream as your agent produces the output. You can see all those stream. That stream might not be clear here because we have our debugging tool. But if I do something like this, let's say if I say debug is false, and thereafter I run this and then this and then this. Now you will notice here, now we are not getting any debug information, but we are getting here a final information. And here is the final information. It says that these many tools are there. All right, now you see there internally it has called here AI message. Then the tool message is there. All right, then tool returns something like this. Then here is the tool message where it says that okay, now you need to run here SQL DB query because you have got here a query. Thereafter here create table employees integer not null. Basically it try to identify that okay, what is this table, and then finally it find out okay, this is the total result here. All right, so these three things what you see there, basically in one it has got the SQL query, here is the result, and here is the information about your employee table. And the similarly this result comes here, you know as a final result, but here since we are streaming the output, now it is streaming all these output, and here you can see your output. And if you want to see this output on Langsmith, that you can also see here. It is going to be really super helpful for you to identify and understand that how the overall things are working. Now here you will notice this is now LangGraph, and here you will see so many times our LLM is called here, right? So basically this time we are seeing here this and this just two times, okay, not a much. I was hoping that at least 3 to 4 times it must have called that LLM, because if you put your LLM inside there, here now you see that it has called many times. Once you put your LLM inside the agent, agent can decide that how many times it want to call the LLM. Here it calls once, twice, and here is the thrice, right? So if you check it for other calls, you might see there it might have called more than thrice or twice. All right. Now I hope that this is pretty much clear to you. Now you know that how this overall thing works here. One, two, three, and okay, this time seems like only three times, not more than three. All right. Perfect. Now you know that how this overall thing works here. And other than that, here you see the rendered outputs are going to be like this employee and this, and there finally it produces the final result. Here it says that, okay, these many employees are there. Cool, cool. Okay, so now you know that how this text to MySQL query works. We have used here a simple chain. Along with that, we have also used here agent. Now we know that overall process. You can connect this with any MySQL database. You will get the output, but always make sure that you have there a proper permission, and you should avoid any kind of the write permission in your MySQL. Otherwise, what will happen here, if agent produces here some the wrong query, you might lose the data. So always make sure that you follow best practices. All right, this is all about in this lesson. I'll see you in next one.